Hey guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, I wanted to talk about how over 50% of Americans still carry debt and the steps you can take to get out of it. So let's talk about that. Right now, more than half Americans have debt and a significant amount of it. And we used to be in debt. We are not anymore. And it was when we were in debt, it was one of the most soul-crushing time periods of my life. I felt so stressed out all the time. I can still vividly remember what that felt like, and it's not something that I ever want to return to. When we had a lot of credit card debt, student loans, we had debt for mattresses and a sewer line that we had installed. We had debt all over the place, and all these payments that we had to make. And it was really stressful because not only is it something that I thought about every single day, but it was something that made me stressed at work, made me feel desperate as far as my job goes and trying to earn more money. And I just didn't like the person that I was as a result of that. So when we finally did get out of debt, we were never going back, like ever, just because of I can't, it's visceral as far as the feelings that I had when we were struggling with that. And I never want to return to that feeling, especially with the way the world is and the economy. It's not something I want to be concerned about where, if I do lose my job or my husband loses his job, and we've got 4 kids, I want to be sure that I don't want to have people calling me, hounding me for money on top. It's hard enough just having to afford groceries and day-to-day life and clothing and things that you're needing to buy. I don't want to have people on the phone calling me, telling me that I owe them money. Like, that's just something I do not want to deal with. So anyway, so I was looking at some recent stats, and this was very alarming. So the total U.S. household debt reached 18 trillion in Q2 of 2025. And that's 18 trillion. I can't even get my head around that. And I guess the average household carries roughly around 105,000 in debt, or they did in 2024. Total credit card debt is approximately $1.2 trillion as of Q2 2025. And then the average credit card balance is $6,371. And $6,000 on your credit card. I mean, we had over $20,000 in credit card debt, and that just seemed astronomical. And so, but most people are carrying at least a $6,000 balance on their credit card. And the problem with that is that it makes it harder and harder to get that ever paid off with high interest rates if you can only make the minimum. All right. So also delinquencies, about 12% of individuals with credit card accounts were 30 plus days delinquent in Q1 of 2025. And student loans, roughly 20% of US adults with undergraduate degrees, they have an outstanding student loan debt. And student loan debt that's how I feel about it. Just it's something that is not bankruptable typically, unless you have private student loan debts. And so, yeah, that's something that is just tough to come out of college if you can't find work or if you didn't even graduate and you've got student loans. Very, very difficult. Okay. All right. So we're going to go through the steps now as far as what you can do if you do have a lot of debt and you are trying to get out of it. Okay. So step 1, you have to track everything. I'm always saying this, you have to look at your bank accounts. When I was in debt and we had no money, we always felt like we had no money. It was tough to even look. It was tough to open the bank app and look to see what was going on in there. And it was really hard, but I had to force myself every single day. And I recommend this every morning, opening up your app and looking at it and see what's going on, because that's where a lot of people get into trouble. If you're just not looking, your account's overdrawn, then you're getting overdraft fees. Then before you know it, the bank is calling you, and that is just awful. So stressful. So at least if you are aware of it, I mean, maybe there's not much you can do about it, but at least you can, if you're tracking it, you'll know what you're spending, what you're spending on, then you can kind of help to make things better moving forward. And also maybe you can, transfer money around if you need to or whatnot, but you have to be watching. You have to be aware of what is going on in your bank account, which means you have to look at it. You have to make it a habit, a daily habit of looking at your bank account every single day so that you can see what's going on in there. All right, so that's awareness before you can take action. Step 2 is to create a flexible budget. And this is not a punishment. Budgets are not a punishment. I always tell the kids, if it's in the budget or out of the budget, it's not about how much money we have. We're sticking to a budget. This is what we've budgeted, this amount of money to go towards this thing. And it's actually freeing because if you've budgeted a certain amount of money, maybe you spent under it. So then you're like, oh, we still have more money to spend within our budget for, to go to the hayride. We budgeted a certain amount of money to go to the haunted hayride this Halloween season. And so we have the money to spend on apple cider or haunted, mazes or whatever, so you have the money set there and it's freedom that you can spend it. And then you can really enjoy whatever it is you're doing with that money. So setting a budget, having it set aside, like I said, it's going to be freeing. It's not going to be punishing. If you can look at it in that way, it's going to help. Having the budget, maybe it feels overwhelming, but setting your budget basically just means that you know how much money you have coming in and then how much money is going out to different categories. You can get really detailed with this. You can have multiple bank accounts, multiple spreadsheets, or you can just have a yellow notepad. You can just have a piece of paper and just write it down, and that can be your budget. Whatever works for you, however techy you want to get with it or not. All right. You can put a piece of paper up and slap it up on your wall in your kitchen. There's the darn budget. This is what we're going to be spending. So but start. You got to get it started so you can see what kind of budget works for you and your family. And then you can tweak it to make it work better each month. And you need a budget for every single month. And you have to do this for a while. All right, step 3 is to simplify your lifestyle. And I feel like it's a mindset thing. If you can say, I'm going to be minimalistic for the next year and we are going to live more simply. So less spending is going to be more joy. We're going to take more walks. We're going to, live with what we have. We're not going to go shopping. Try to make it fun, make it a game. You can, say, okay, we're going to do this challenge here where we're not going to spend any money for the next 30 days, or we're going to try to find something every week that we can cancel. You want to try to really make things simpler, because when things are simpler, it is a lot easier because there's so much going on. We all have so many things on our schedules with work and with our friends and our family and with the kids, and, the teachers want us to be working on things. And it's just there's so many demands for our time and for our attention. So if we can make it simpler, your mental health is probably going to improve as well as a result of this exercise. All right, now at step 4, let's get to the actual debt as far as paying it off. Okay, so now we want to start to make sure that we are making minimum payments on all of the debts. And then you want to work on attacking it. So you can do multiple different methods here. If you want to do the debt snowball, that would mean that what you're doing is taking the one with the smallest balance and you're paying that off first and you're working your way up to the highest balance. If you want to do the debt avalanche, then you're going to take the debt with the highest interest rate and start paying that off first to get that out of your life so it stops accruing so much interest every month. I really don't care which method you choose, whichever works for you. The point is to be paying off the debt, right? You want to try to be paying extra on it. So you have to pick one. Pick one debt out of your list of debts, which hopefully you wrote that down in step 1 when you were making sure you knew what you were spending it on and everything that you had going on in your life. So you're going to take a debt, pick one of them, and that's the one you're going to really try to hammer away. And all the other ones you're just going to be making minimum payments on. But you want to try to get some progress, so you have to pick one that you're going to be paying off, right? And so all your extra money, the money that you're saving by not going out shopping or spending, or the things you're canceling, whatever extra money you can get, you're going to be putting towards that debt to get rid of it. Okay, step 5, assuming you've paid off your debt or you're making your way there, is to build some kind of savings account. You need to have an emergency fund of some sort. So you want to also have sinking funds. So that sinking funds means that you have money set aside for things that you know that come up every quarter or every year that you're going to have to pay for, whether you need to fill up your propane tank and you know that that bill is going to be coming. You have to set up a separate account or a separate line item for your account where you know that that's the money that you have earmarked to pay for that item. So sinking funds to me can be super fun. Like they're just kind of, I don't know, I love setting up the categories and earmarking certain amounts to go into different ones. So holidays are a big one. You want to have a holiday fund. So you have money set aside for when those come up. If you want to add in birthdays to that, depending on how many people you have in your family. I feel like we have a birthday coming up like every month or every other month. But if you just have a few people in your family, maybe you can set up an account for the birthdays. That way, when it comes up, you have money to spend. So setting up a savings, emergency fund, and then also sinking funds would be that final step there where you can kind of automate things a little bit, where your direct deposit is set up to be going into different buckets depending on how many things you can do in your direct deposit. I think I might have like 8 lines or something maybe in my direct deposit. My husband is only allowed 3. So like it's kind of depending on your employer or how you can get that set up. But then you can actually transfer it yourself with the bank. I've set that up as well. So you can say you set it up with the bank, come out of this account and go into this account every month or every 2 weeks. But that will help you to feel as if you are in control and you are empowered to be setting the budget and you are empowered to be able to spend money for the things that you want to spend money on and the things that you need to spend money on. Okay, so being debt-free isn't really about the numbers. It's about an alignment in your life. So obviously, if you are in debt, if you're in this situation, if you're one of the ones with the part of that trillions of dollars of debt, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And it doesn't mean that you're necessarily irresponsible, even though I know there's probably going to be some people typing that, which I've gotten that, but it doesn't mean that. It just means that things are not in alignment in your life, right? So financially, maybe personally, you're kind of, maybe you're so involved in something else, you don't want to look at your bank account, or maybe you've had medical issues going on, that's why you've had to overspend. But it still means that things are not they're not aligned, right? You have to have a balance. And so it's just something to work on, and you can do it. You just have to start small. And the biggest thing is to make the decision that you are going to make this change and that you're going to try to get on top of it. And I always say, if you fail, if you stumble off the path, you just got to get right back on it. Like the next day, the next week, or whenever you're healthy again, you're going to try to restart and try again and take little steps, right? So it's you just have to continue to care and continue to try, and you will get there. It might not be immediate. It's going to take some patience. It's going to take some persistence, diligence. You're going to have to wait it out and go through the steps and continue to work on it. It could take years. It took years for us. So, but you can get there. You absolutely can get there. I fully believe in you. I know you can do this. Just take that first step and you'll be there. Okay. All right. So I'm thinking of you. I care about you, and I know how hard it is. So if you have any questions, you can leave those down below in the comments. And if it's your first time here, be sure to subscribe and leave a like if this video was helpful at all. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Okay.